evening, Graham Rawlins with our midweek edition of News Geelong. The National Wool Museum has recently completed an order for 2 Manor House rugs, which are the largest ever produced by the Wool Museum. With sunshine finally breaking through in the afternoon, the 2012 Victorian Lifesaving Championships saw Ocean Grove take the overall points narrowly ahead of close club Anglesea. And from the world of Geelong sport, Mitch Scoop Cleary. It's Big V basketball, speedway and Nigel Lappin from the Geelong Cats. While from the weather world, we'll update you on the Geelong and Surf Coast area weather expected over the next 6 days. The annual flagship event for Barwon Water is its Sustainable Home and Garden Expo, held down on the Geelong waterfront in the Steam Packet Gardens. News Geelong spoke with our local Dennis Walter as he prepared to host the onstage program. How much pride does it give you, having travelled so much, a TV personality, radio personality with 3AW, to still know that your grassroots are in our great town of Geelong?
They always have, always will be. It's just part of who I am. I was brought up out at Ceres, and then we live in Wandana Heights now. We're in Newtown for 24 years, so I've always been able to maintain staying in Geelong, even though when I was reading the regional television news on WIN, that was from Ballarat, and I was going from Geelong to Melbourne for radio, and then Melbourne to Ballarat, but I've always been sort of rooted here.
And Barwon Water, again, have put on another excellent display today and are showing truly their community involvement.
Yes, it's great. It's fantastic community involvement, but it also draws in people from out of town who are here maybe for the long weekend or just making the day trip down to enjoy some of the people. Like Jane Edmondson's on the radio program with me. Vasili's here; he's also on the show with me. So, and you know, it's a really good thing for tourism around the region.
And of course, the familiar scene of Steam Packet Gardens to you come Christmas time.
Yes, we're up the other end, but this would be a great setting as well. So maybe we'll move it.
Well, you could fit probably a little more in, but always a capacity crowd at your carols come Christmas time.
It's wonderful, and we're into our 16th year this year, so I'm very proud of it.
The Manor House rug was exclusively designed for the National Wool Museum by Brinton's Carpets in 1990. And produced on a 1910 gripper-type Axminster Jacquard carpet loom. Debbie Meaney reports.
This loom, which was put together in 1910, has just finished making the largest rug ever made here at the National Wool Museum. I spoke with Councillor Cameron Granger about how special this rug is. Councillor Cameron Granger, Genie 1 to Genie 2. Feel a bit like we could make this carpet fly. Tell me about this rug.
Well, it's made here at the National Wool Museum on a loom that was built in 1910. It's a punch card loom that uses a system that was developed in 1804, the Jacquard system. So it's remarkable that it's still being used to this day and is producing rugs that people can buy. This one has actually been commissioned by somebody who's bought an historic property within the region, and they've obviously got quite a large room to put it in. So what happens is it gets produced in strips and then it's all hand sewn together. So there are about 6 or 7 sections to this that are all hand sewn together.
So it is a fairly substantial rug. What size are we talking here?
I think this one is actually 6.5 metres by about 3.5 metres, so it's quite substantial. Yeah, we'd want a big room for us to put it in. I'd love a house that had a room this big to put this in, but I'd also love the rug. So.
And this is the biggest one that the Wool Museum has actually produced?
It has, yes. Yep.
And people can actually order something to be made here?
Yep. We can virtually tailor the rug to any size. So it could be bigger than this, it could be half the size, it could just be something that you want to hang on a wall. But yeah, we're quite flexible in terms of what we do, and we sell about 100 rugs to the public each year. And if you come in during the week, you can actually see them being made on the loom.
Excellent. Well, it's a great rug, and yeah, seeing that interactive loom is pretty special here at the Wool Museum.
So it's adding another little bit of history to an already historic property, so it's great news.
Great. At the National Wool Museum, this is Debbie Meaney for News Geelong.
Thank you, Debbie. The chairman of Barwon Water, Dr Michael King, was a proud man as he moved amongst the many people who visited the Barwon Water Expo on the Geelong waterfront last weekend.
We're hoping to have more visitors than last year. There's 18,000, and there's just a magnificent number of stands here, and I'd encourage people over this long weekend to come down to Steam Packet Gardens and look at the various sustainable options there are.
And we've been great enough to be able to attract some very, very interesting guests.
We have. We've just had Rob Jell, who delivered a real powerful message around sustainability, what we can look for within our housing stock going forward, and it's a real challenge for the residents here in the region.
And our own Dennis Walter is also a man who loves being in Geelong.
He is, and look, Dennis is an icon of Geelong, and we're very grateful he's given our time to this really important issue of sustainability throughout the region.
Are we learning more and more about sustainability, and by learning, putting it into practice?
Look, I think we are, and it's a long journey. We're a long way along that pathway, and particularly as we'd all be aware in Geelong with the drought and climate variability over the last 15 years, Barwon Water's adapted to that, and as part of our role is further educating the community, which is what this summit's about in the next 2 days.
And the fact that the Geelong community are being very, very water aware. Barwon Water has been very responsible in its community involvement and passing that right message along in so many ways.
Look, it has been, and we have to be very careful. That was only 3 years ago, we can all remember, probably a bit longer, when we had 12% capacity left in our dams. I'm happy to say today we're well over 95%, but we have to be still very careful with our water usage, and so I'd encourage all our residents still to be vigilant and be water wise.
Thank you, Michael. In our regional roundup tonight, Barwon Water Managing Director Michael Maloof will not renew his contract after nearly 5 years in the top job. Long-term local employee Mr Joe Adamski, currently General Manager Strategy and Technology, will be acting MD until a replacement is announced. Authorities have issued permits to cull or remove thousands of native animals in the past year, including icons such as emus and kangaroos. The fireball that blazed across the Geelong sky on Monday has been reported as a UFO sighting. The Occupy group of protesters that tried to shut down Melbourne is bringing its protest to Geelong's Johnston Park this weekend. And in sport, champion Cadel Evans has cast doubts on his ability to go back-to-back in this year's Tour de France, while local champion distance runner Craig Buster Mottram has had a reality check in Istanbul in the lead up to the London Olympics. As we go to a break on this midweek edition of News Geelong, don't forget you can Twitter us on our Twitter account at NewsGeelong31 with your thoughts and comments. We'll return with more news after this.